Good evening, I'm Farhana Sheikh and this is AWANI Tonight. Government plans to conduct a full audit on cooking oil manufacturers to curb subsidy abuse. And with rising inflation and soaring cost of living, will the situation get worse? That's coming up. The Health Ministry has warned Malaysians to be wary of the two new sub-variants of the COVID-19 Omicron strain. Cases have steadily been on the rise with more than 6% increase last week compared to the week before.
Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the increase in cases also resulted in more COVID-19 patients being admitted to public hospitals and quarantine centres. COVID-19 hospital admission per 100,000 people rose by 22%, while ICU bed occupancy also increased by 2%. The Omicron BA4 and Omicron BA5 are more infectious than other Omicron subvariants, causing a fresh surge of COVID-19 cases around the world. The variant, first identified in South Africa, has now become the dominant strains in Europe and the US.
Bukit Aman's Narcotics Department seized 262.3 million ringgit worth of drugs within the first 6 months of the year. Federal Police Secretary Nursia Saaduddin says 81,706 people were also arrested.
The suspects were arrested under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, the Poisons Act 1952, and the Drug Dependence Treatment and Rehabilitation Act 1983. The department seized more than 10,000 kilograms and 2,394 litres of various drugs. Nearly 70,000 kilograms of ketum leaves and 44,809 litres of liquid ketum were also in the haul. Another 79.2 million ringgit in assets were also seized from drug syndicates.
Anti-death penalty activists have urged Singapore to halt the execution of a convicted Malaysian drug trafficker. Kalwan Singh, who was convicted in 2016 of bringing heroin into Singapore, is scheduled to be hanged on Thursday.
The Anti-Death Penalty Asia Network delivered a statement to the Singapore High Commission, calling for Kalwan's execution to be suspended to allow him an opportunity to file for clemency. It said Kalwan, who was 23 when he was arrested in 2013, was forced to make drug deliveries in Singapore to repay a football gambling debt. It will be the second execution of a Malaysian in less than 3 months. In April, the hanging of Nagendran K. Damalingam sparked a national outcry as he was believed to be intellectually disabled.
UMNO President Dato' Sri Ahmad Zaid Hamidi failed in his application to further delay proceedings of his corruption and money laundering trial. The Kuala Lumpur High Court dismissed his stay application pending the outcome of an appeal.
Judge Datuk Colin Lawrence Squera said there were no special circumstances to grant Zahid's application for a stay. Zahid applied to postpone the prosecution's cross-examination of him on June 23rd, pending the outcome of his appeal to obtain 11 witness statements recorded by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. The High Court in May dismissed Zahid's bid to obtain these witness statements. Zahid is accused of 47 counts of money laundering and criminal breach of trust, involving millions of ringgit from Yayasan Akal Budi and accepting bribes for various projects during his tenure as Home Minister.
The wait for a court decision on the case of Malaysian mother's citizenship continues, as does the struggle families face due to the lack of documentation. Tonight on Consider This, we ask our guests about lives that have been affected. An audit on the production of cooking oil in 1 kilogram polybags will be carried out to tackle the smuggling of subsidized cooking oil. Prime Minister Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob says this involves 22 manufacturers and 305 packaging premises nationwide.
The move aims to ensure that the 4 billion ringgit spent to subsidize cooking oil sold in polybags was reaching consumers. Those involved in leakages of subsidized cooking oil will have their quotas and licenses cancelled. Currently, 60,000 tonnes of subsidized cooking oil are being distributed a month, exceeding household consumption in Malaysia. The government recently lifted subsidies for 2 kilogram, 3 kilogram and 5 kilogram bottled cooking oil, but will continue subsidizing 1 kilogram packets.
Bank Negara Malaysia is expected to raise its overnight policy rates OPR by 25 basis points on Wednesday, according to a Reuters poll. If so, it would make the rate hike a first consecutive rise in over a decade.
This morning, the ringgit traded lower against major currencies, including the US dollar, British pound and Japanese yen, but appreciated against the Singapore dollar compared to the close on Friday. Experts predict more rate hikes to come following BNM's fourth monetary policy meeting scheduled for this week. Hiking interest rates is part of BNM's effort to stem inflation and to sustain the ringgit value. In May, the central bank increased the OPR by 25 basis points to 2% from a record low of 1.75%.
With some price ceilings and subsidies removed, Malaysians are feeling the pinch in the face of high inflation and rising cost of living. Will it get worse? Jason Wong Jejun from FSM1 Malaysia shares what we can expect in the coming months.
The recent increase in chicken, egg, and cooking oil prices will push inflation higher in the coming months. At this juncture, the government has yet to remove subsidies for certain key items such as electricity, petrol, diesel, gas, and flour, to name a few. I do not rule out gradual reductions of some of these subsidies further down the road, which would lead to higher inflation persisting into 2023. As a result of higher inflation risk, I foresee more interest rate hikes from the central bank. I believe that Bank Negara does not wish to make the same mistake like the US Federal Reserve did, which was being too slow to hike interest rates and letting inflation spiral out of control. Bank Negara's surprise OPR hike during the last MPC meeting in May showed that they were willing to take proactive steps beyond market expectations in order to combat rising inflation. Taking all of the above into account, Bank Negara could make another 3 more 25 basis points OPR hikes during the remaining MPC meetings that are set to take place this year. Whenever there's a rate hike, installments for existing floating rate loans will be adjusted higher, whereas new loans will be issued at high interest rates. As a conclusion, on one hand, inflation is reducing the purchasing power of consumers. On the other hand, rising interest rates mean that consumers are forced to absorb these rising costs. These are double whammies for consumers, which would lead to dwindling disposable income, while wages and salaries are hardly changed.
The 35th Asia-Pacific Roundtable returns this year and will run for 3 days starting tomorrow. The theme this time, Sustaining Cooperation Amid Competition, focuses on rebuilding the economy and maintaining relations between countries despite existing competitions.
So it has been another difficult year for us in Southeast Asia, as well as all our neighbors in the Asia-Pacific. We, the people who call this region home, must speak beyond our governments if we are to build this relationship that is meant to last. There is a need to reaffirm our ties to each other, to meet with our regional counterparts and colleagues. There is a need to exchange ideas and to take into perspective of all others. There is a need to show that dialogue will win the day. Now, this is the essence of the Asia-Pacific Roundtable. We must see beyond the horizon, look into what is possible, and determine what can be achieved together. So I look forward to meeting you all, exchanging views, and building as well as renewing ties at the 35th Asia-Pacific Roundtable.
We'll go for a quick break. Stay with us.
Tebo, warnanya yang cukup pekat serta aroma yang memikat, seperti menikmati kesegaran kebun teh Cameron Highland. Semestinya pilihan saya. Tebo, lebih kau, lebih
COVID-19 memperlihatkan kepada kita betapa pantasnya adaptasi teknologi di kalangan PKS kita. Niaga AWANI dan Unified Business akan menyelami perjalanan kebangkitan semula PKS kita melalui segmen Jiwa SME setiap Selasa dan Khamis untuk inspirasi anda.
Transformasikan perniagaan dengan Unify Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Hubungi kami sekarang dan jimat sehingga 50%. Jom Unify Business.
Welcome back. Malaysia is experiencing a hiring boom in the non-executive sector. F&B, retail and administrative work have seen an increased number of roles in Fast Jobs Malaysia platform, with 84,000 people getting jobs in just 1 month. General Manager Joel Pang gives us more insights on this matter.
If we were to compare the jobs being posted in April 2022 compared with just April in the same time last year, 2021, we actually have seen an increase in the number of jobs being posted, increased by 2 times. So the number of vacancies have doubled. And if we were to go into the industries in specifics, we have actually seen some of the highly recovering industries like F&B really just experience a 3 times increase in the vacancies being posted on the Fast Jobs platform. And even for retail, we are seeing double the amount of vacancies being posted. And for other roles like admin, clerical, professional services, we have seen at least a 60 to 70% increase in roles. What we have seen in April 2022, in just 1 month, the number of jobs and the employment rate has actually gone up by 0.5%. So we are talking about 84,000 people actually getting jobs in just 1 month.
So what are job seekers and companies looking for during hiring process? Joel stressed that flexibility is pertinent for workers in the post-COVID era, while companies prefer candidates with digital skills.
They are now pricing flexibility over everything. You know, they would like to retain that flexibility to decide when they have the availability to work. And I think this also ties in with the fact that caregiving roles have definitely shifted quite significantly during the pandemic, where we have job seekers who are now taking a larger share of caregiving roles or have become a sole caregiver for their family, which is why flexibility has seen rising importance. There are multiple vacancies and job opportunities available for Malaysian job seekers right now. So this gives them the ability to really think about what it is that they are looking for in their career, whether it be for progression as well as what they find meaningful, going back to skills and areas of interest that they have. And at the same time as well, 75% of job seekers have stated that they are willing to move or change jobs if the salary package offered to them has a higher incentive.
Companies, on the other hand, would look for candidates that can support their digitalization efforts.
So employers are definitely looking at skills that allow job seekers to, be a part of their organization and support the digitalization of their efforts as well as processes. So I think that some of the technical skills that employers are now looking for is digital literacy, as well as things like coding, even data analytics, and etc. Automation, AI. While that is in the play, I think that soft skills are also something that employers are definitely on the lookout for. So things like how adaptable are you, how flexible are you in your thinking, and also how willing are you to just put your head down and pick up new skills and learn what is necessary for the workplace of the future.
Thousands of people were ordered to evacuate their homes amid torrential rain and major flooding in Australia's largest city, Sydney. Officials warn of more bad weather after some areas in the state of New South Wales were hit with about a month's worth of rain over the weekend.
32,000 people were impacted by evacuation orders and warnings. People were instructed to avoid non-essential travel, including public transport, with some roads already underwater and others at risk of flash floods. Days of torrential rain caused dams to overflow and waterways to break their banks, bringing a 4th flooding emergency in a year and a half to parts of the city of 5 million people. In March, at least 20 people were killed by major flooding in Australia, mostly in New South Wales.
That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching.
Hello and good evening. I'm Melissa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then we consider what you know of the news of the day. Now tonight we take